wollte ich auf dieses Video hier reagieren. Das ist ganz neu. Es wurde wohl Fiery Debate, okay. Ich dachte, das steht Flair. Ich dachte, das ist Flair oder so. Heute möchte ich auf den Debunk zu NTT reagieren. Da hat wohl ein Veganer zerstört mit NTT, also sein NTT-System zerstört. Das ist natürlich, das hört sich natürlich höchst interessant für mich an. Bin ich natürlich sehr gespannt. Wir kennen den George Martin schon. Ja, super Typ, auf jeden Fall. Ich mag den. Vor allem auch was Politik angeht, stabil. So, von daher Leute, ja, ich bin sehr gespannt. NTT wurde widerlegt, dann ja, kann ich NTT nicht mehr in Debatten benutzen. Und ja, das wäre doch mal höchst interessant. Das Ding geht ziemlich lange, 1:15. So, ja, kann man sich wirklich zurücklehnen und die Show genießen anscheinend. Fiery Debate über was NTT. Oder der wird darauf gepresst, wie der Tiere essen verteidigt, und dann kann der einen Trade nennen, der irgendwie zu keinem Reductio führt und zu keinem Widerspruch oder was? Na, da sind wir ja mal gespannt, oder? Let's see. Also ich habe keine Ahnung, wer der Typ hier ist. BA Davis, aka EB3. Was soll das denn sein? Wenn der NTT die Bank dann heulig, ja. Wir werden es erleben.
Would you like to introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, of course. So my name's George. I run the YouTube channel. It's called George Martin Carnism Debunked. Also run the Carnism Debunked website. I've been a vegan for must be like 11, 12 years now, and an animal rights activist.
Okay, der ist schon so lang Veganer wie ich. Okay.
For most of those years. Yeah, and I'm mainly active on social media and stuff like that, putting out a lot of content to attempt to convince.
Nicht gerade die glücklichste Ansicht hier. Ja, immer diese High-Quality-Streamer, unglaublich.
People of the arguments for animal rights, I guess.
Excellent. I'm EB3, Debate Me Bro YouTuber, pretty much since the start of YouTube. I've been around a long time. I've debated a lot of vegans, and recently George's channel has come onto my feed.
Er hat schon einige Veganer debattiert. Oh. Ich glaube, Leute, wir laufen langsam in Probleme rein hier.
As I'm trying to leave.
Ich bin schon übel nervös.
Leave Google and YouTube. And I'm like, well, he seems lively. I reached out to him, he reached back, and here we are. So I've debated a long line of vegans over the last 20 years. And obviously, I've just watched your antenatal video, yeah? So obviously, you know firsthand, there's many different variations of vegans all believe different things, right? Yeah, so like, give me your philosophical, moral position. I take it from what I've listened to thus far, you're like, you sort of adopted a utilitarianism approach. Are you utilitarian? Utilitarian?
I don't actually know what my normative ethics are at the moment.
Ich glaube nicht, dass der Utilitarian ist. Also ich glaube nicht, dass das seine normative Position ist. Ich glaube, der ist Threshold Deontologe.
That is something that I'm going to have to look more into. So I don't specifically describe myself as utilitarian deontology. I imagine from the tiny bit of philosophical knowledge that I do have, I might be a threshold deontologist. But
was habe ich gesagt? Ich bin fucking Nostradamus.
I'm not fully sure about that. So that's still something I guess I'm trying to explore. I'm fairly new to the philosophy game.
Okay, fine. So why are you vegan?
Do you want the philosophical answer, or do you want just the story of how I went vegan and why?
Like, in your core, why have you chosen this dietary, this diet?
Hat er gerade Diet Trend gesagt. Okay, hier geht's jetzt schon mal sehr schnell bergab.
What is it what compelled you to be a supposed vegan? Explain that to me, and then I will know your philosophical position. And
I see. Yeah, I just reject the idea that animals should be slaves for humans. I don't think there is any way to humanely kill someone who doesn't want to die. And I value animals as sentient beings who value their own lives and don't want to suffer in the same way that we don't want to suffer. And I see no moral justification, I guess, to pay for their enslavement, abuse, murder in what's happening when we can just be vegan.
Okay, and do you vote? Are you a voter? Have you ever voted?
I did one year. I voted for my mum when she ran in the local elections one year, but apart from that, no.
Voted?
Oh, there's none of the UK parties really massively align with my views.
Okay, so you've never voted apart from that once.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Was hat denn das jetzt mit irgendwas zu tun?
Do you believe in God, or are you a God-fearing man? Right.
No, atheist.
When you use the word justification, what's your definition of that? What does that mean to you, justification? Because to me, the word justified etymologically means glorious in the eyes of God. Right. Yeah, I don't know any other meaning in that. So if you're not a God-fearing man, what does justified mean in your
Oh Gott, sag nicht, das ist ein Religionsheini.
or standing?
Well, it's hard to exactly
Und da ist NTT auch nicht so schwer, hä?
describe what that means either way.
Der Eigenschaftsunterschied ist, dass Gott es erlaubt hat. Well, shit.
Whether you believe in God
Jetzt habe ich keine Antwort mehr darauf.
or whether you don't, because ultimately, in either case, the other person's just going to disagree and say, well, from, you know, if you ask me, I'd just say it's from the victim's standpoint. The victim doesn't want it to be done to them, and they should be the moral authority and that over any supernatural being, obviously, in my opinion.
Okay. Do you know that it's impossible scientifically to wash a piece of fruit or vegetable or clapping your hands without killing tens and thousands and
Das ist nicht wahr, oder?
hundreds of thousands of microorganisms?
Wow. So viel zu High-Level Debate.
Yeah, but
Scientifically.
yeah, obviously they have no moral value because they're not sentient beings.
Oh, they're not what?
Sentient
Hallo, Klepp.
beings.
And you know that how?
Through science. They don't have a brain or a central nervous system. Like that would be a. Do you not think you're trivializing actual suffering and death there when you mention stuff about microorganisms? Like if I was to compare 9/11 to washing my hands or something, that would obviously be a bit of a trivialization of what happened, right?
Depends on point of view. Like if you've invoked science, you're looking at it scientifically, right? Yeah. So if you was to beam out of Earth and look at the cosmos and the galaxy, all life on Earth is a microorganism in compared to the rest of the galaxy. Do you agree?
Well, it depends what. It still has moral value, so I don't. That just seems like an apples and oranges comparison there. If you're talking about life on Earth, that it doesn't matter how small it is in comparison to the galaxy. The sentient life on it still values their existence.
Ja, was für eine Rolle spielt, wie groß das ist. Die sind nicht sentient, also who cares?
And suffers and feels pain.
Yes, but there are other forms of life that you are less caring of because you can't hear them scream, and as far as you're aware, have no sentience.
Well, yeah, it's the difference between punching an old lady in the face and punching a punching bag at the gym.
Yeah, but
what
makes you think? But what makes you think the rest of the galaxy as a whole cares about your moral values on an individual basis?
Was ist das für ein Strohmann?
Oh, it's not about whether they care about it. It's
right
not
then,
about
so you agree. The universe doesn't care that you have some moral system.
Yes, I agree.
As a microorganism. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't care about yours either.
I'm not saying it does.
All right.
Right, yeah,
But look, I think we'll get.
Wer hat das Gegenteil behauptet? Wer hat gesagt, it does? Niemand. Damit kamst du irgendwie um die Ecke.
Sidetracked in here into some crazy theological discussion if we go into this. So let me.
Ja, hört sich an, als würde der den auf Meta derailen wollen.
Advance the argument for animal rights from a theory neutral standpoint, and as in
you don't vote. You don't agree with
what
rights.
does that have to do with?
Because rights are a legal aspect of life, right? Yeah, but
but if there was
conjured up by the legislators,
yeah,
no, rights are a concept of the mind that are agreed to by that are written up by legislators. Right?
Okay,
and you're not a voter.
If there was a party in
Was labert der da?
in the UK that aligned with my principles, I'd vote for them, but there currently isn't.
But even if there was, right, yeah, listen, I've debated many vegans who are voters. The majority, 90% of all the vegans I've ever debated are voters. And most of them are utilitarians as well. And they give me the argument that if I buy a chicken at the retail level, then I'm telling the chicken people at a production level through to go and kill more chickens. Right, yeah, but that's not logically coherent, is it? Because the meat industries and or the slaughterhouses, right, yeah, and the farming industries are granted their permits by the government, which are legitimized by the voters that vote for them, right? Yeah, whether you have
which is why I don't vote.
What the fuck?
Because all those parties support the wholesale exploitation and slavery of animals.
And where do
Der wählt nicht, weil keine Partei für die Abschaffung von Tierversklavung ist? What? Ist das okay? Das ist dann die erste komische Position von dem Veganer. Es gibt noch was anderes im Leben, oder? Es gibt noch andere Aspekte. Warum würdest du nicht die Partei wählen, die am meisten übereinstimmt mit deinen Werten? Ist unabhängig von Veganismus-Ding. Man votet keine Parteien, die irgendwie für Tierversklavung sind. What?
animals get their rights from if not
Stell dir vor, alle würden das machen.
through a derivative power like government?
Well, they can't actually at the moment be granted those legal rights. So that's my job as an animal rights activist. That's what I'm pushing for. They have to be granted. So
And how? How are you doing that? How are you pushing for that?
well, through advocacy and that.
Ja, aber seine Erklärung hier auch von diesem Omni-Clown. Es macht keinen Sinn, irgendwie zu sagen, wenn man ein Hühnchen kauft, dann wird auf der Nachfrageseite ein Hühnchen mehr nachgefragt. Weil das von der Regierung legitimisiert wurde und die Regierung wurde legitimisiert von den Wählern. Was laberst du da? Was hat das eine mit dem anderen zu tun? Ich verstehe das nicht.
Activism, the same as any injustice in history, the same as abolition of slavery, for
What
example.
you mean, like by what?
Wie sorgst du für irgendeine Änderung?
What you're doing now, debating people like me online and stuff like that and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
Using-
So
Ja, dann müsste das Argument halt in logical Form darstellen, damit man irgendeine Prämisse davon angreifen kann. Keine Ahnung, wie der von A nach B kommt.
at
So
the
you-
time of
Hallo Zuckerinsel.
slavery, if we had the internet, I would be online demanding an end to slavery against people who supported it.
Slavery still exists today,
Oh, I know it does. I'm an animal rights activist.
right?
But look, hold on. Let's just. This is just going to be very messy and cluttered if we do it this way. So let me advance animal rights from something that hopefully will fit in with your own moral system. So we'll do the whole name the trait thing, if you know about that.
Yeah. Feel free to say what you need to say, so I can.
All right, awesome. So I would like, I guess, to convince you that the argument for animal rights is valid from your own normative ethic, whatever it is. So I guess I'll ask you the whole name the trait question, right? So I basically hold it that there's no morally relevant difference between humans and animals that would justify killing one but not the other. So, and I believe that you could answer this question consistently, but the vast majority of people that you ask this question will have an inconsistent position. And this is just what I'm trying to advance. I believe that humans are extremely inconsistent with their position on humans in comparison to what they are to animals. So I guess my question to you would be, well, first of all, if we were to round up and start gassing and slitting the throats of humans for burgers, for shoes, for handbags, would you support that?
I'm not a killer. I've not killed any of these animals.
Das war nicht die Frage. Und daran erkennt man schon alles. Ab hier weiß er alles über die Person. Beantwortet schon die Frage nicht. I'm not a killer. Hat dich jemand danach gefragt, ob du ein Killer bist? Kannst du auf die Frage antworten? Ja, gut.
At a production level, right? Well, I've just listened to your antenatal thing, right? Yeah, and you
Alter, was ist das jetzt für ein Derail?
use the word we do this, we do that a lot. So you're a collectivist. You've got a collectivist mind, right? Yeah, where you look at.
Warum muss man Collectivist sein? Das ist eine deskriptive Aussage über die Welt. Sie supporten das. Die Gesellschaft supportet das. Wärst du okay damit, dass die Gesellschaft das supportet, so wie die es jetzt tut? Nur die Tiere ausgetauscht und Menschen.
All the endeavors of mankind as sort of like the responsibility of everyone on earth, right? Yeah. Whereas then you try and invoke like animal rights and legality, right? Yeah. But in law, under the legal system, in the English tongue being spoken that me and you are exchanging words in right now, I, as an individual, I'm only responsible for my actions, not the actions of other people. If someone kills a chicken, right? Yeah, because the voters allow them to do it, right? Yeah, I'm not going to allow that animal to die in vain, so I'm going to eat that chicken, for example.
But
right?
you obviously understand the concept of supply and demand, right? So
yes, at a production level, the supply and demand argument doesn't apply to me at a retail level.
Okay, der lehnt Angebot und Nachfrage ab. Alles klar.
Of course it does. You're demanding for the animals to be killed and put on the shelves.
Well, let me defeat your argument then, right? Yeah.
Ja, defeat das Argument mit votest du.
Yeah. Supply and demand, right? Yeah, you're invoking. You're trying to claim that at a retail level, if I buy a chicken pie, I'm telling the chicken companies at some production level to kill more chickens. That's your argument, right? In a nutshell, right? So. At a retail level, you're invoking a legality called legal tender, right? Yeah, I'm purchasing something legally in accordance.
Ja, schon jetzt erzählt er irgendeinen Blödsinn, der mit nichts irgendwas zu tun hat.
With the English laws and about govern this island, right? Yeah, govern the science behind.
Das ist halt ein Rambling Master, der Typ.
Behind all of the chicken.
Ja, würdest du das im Menschenkontext sagen? Ja, der Defeater für seinen Rambling-Bullshit, für das er kein kohärentes Argument ausformulieren kann, wette ich mit dir. Ja, darf man Menschenfleisch kaufen von Menschenschlachthäusern, weil du förderst ja nicht die Nachfrage. Ja.
Chicken pie with all the ingredients and everything.
Wenn du irgendwas kaufst, förderst du nicht die Nachfrage. Beste Position. Ja, so viel zu krasser Debatte. Okay.
That's on there, right? Yeah. So with my legal tender,
wieder so ein Low-Level-Schwachsinn.
I purchase this chicken and I get.
Ja, und das ist der Defeater für die Position. Ich glaube nicht an Angebot und Nachfrage. Kannst auch darf man Kinder kaufen, weil man fördert ja nicht die Nachfrage. Sagen wir es legal. Darf man das dann deiner Moral nach kaufen? Fördert ja nicht die Nachfrage. Oder setzt die Tiere mit Menschen, dann fragst du, ob man Frauen-Oberschenkel kaufen darf. Fördert ja nicht die Nachfrage nach neuen Frauen-Oberschenkeln. Unfassbarer Clown.
My change for it, whatnot. It's an exchange of goods, and I'll go. I'm happy with it. If at a production level they take these.
Der erzählt einfach irgendwas. Der kommt mit irgendeinem Gesetz und mit irgendwelchen, man votet ja und sowas. Einfach irgendwas zusammenrambeln.
Calculations on board, right? Yeah, and think, well, we're gonna double these amount of chicken pies because.
Man kann da so viele Reductos drauf laufen lassen. Holy shit. jemand sagt, es gibt Angebot und Nachfrage nicht, okay. Kannst du mir sagen, wie viel Hühner pro Tag produziert werden? Wie viele Chicken McNuggets werden pro Tag auf der Welt produziert? Na, keine Ahnung. 1 Million oder sowas. Ne? Sage ich jetzt einfach mal. Ja, und jetzt hat jeder seine Einstellung und keiner kauft mehr Chicken McNuggets. Die Nachfrage ändert sich nicht. Und das Angebot ändert sich nicht. Es werden immer noch 1 Million pro Tag angeboten.
They're popular and people are buying them, so we're going to kill twice as much chickens, right? Yeah, that wager, that supply and demand argument is on a production level, and that's a wager between them and the government. If, say, they kill all these chickens and nobody buys them, the government comes in and seizes their assets if they can't pay the taxes. They don't come for me at a retail level.
All right,
one more. 30 seconds.
All right, go on.
10 more seconds. 10 more seconds, please.
Go on.
Because you invoked as a vegan a legality at a retail level, which is legal tender purchasing something, right? Yeah. Let's look to
Was der von Legal Tender und Legality labert die ganze Zeit.
the law. Let's look to the legal aspects of life. Am I, as an individual, legally responsible for the actions of others in law?
Was laberst du da? Was für legally responsible für die Taten anderer? Was zum Teufel laberst du da?
Criminally or otherwise. And the answer to that is, before you interrupt, because I know you don't like this answer, is no. The reason why I'm trying to talk to you is the reason.
Aber ehrlich gesagt muss man sagen, so einen Blödsinn habe ich auch noch nie im Leben gehört. Also das muss man ihm lassen. Also das kommt extrem selten vor, dass man mal was Neues hört. Weil so einen Unsinn habe ich noch nie im Leben gehört. Krass. Einfach mal was Neues. Ja, erfrischend auf jeden Fall.
The reason why I'm trying to talk to you is, without being interrupted, and I won't interrupt you, is because every other vegan I've ever debated on this earth, right, yeah, can't handle these arguments. They
Can't handle these arguments. Can't handle your rambling, meinst du?
they invoke supply and demand, and then I tell them that you've invoked a legality, and I'm not legally responsible for the actions of others. And
ja, was macht man mit solchen Ramblern, die festhalten an ihrem Rambling, das Argument in logical Form komplett ausformulieren, damit man die ganzen Prämissen sieht. Und dann siehst du, wo der Fehler liegt.
then their argument's crippled, and then they want to.
Weil ich sehe schon, wenn er das auch nur versuchen würde, das in logical Form auszuformulieren, würde man sehen, dass das Argument ungültig ist.
Move on to some other subject.
Okay.
Can you address my point? Am I legally responsible for the actions of others?
Legally responsible, was zum Teufel laberst du da? Wer hat danach gefragt?
You're legally responsible for your own actions. Anyway, right. Do you agree? Would you agree with rounding up and gassing and slitting the throats of humans for burgers and pizzas?
I'm not a killer, so I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay, cool. So you have the same answer as most people with that. Okay. Do you agree with rounding up, gassing, slitting the throats of chickens, cows, and pigs to turn them into burgers, pizzas, and so on?
I don't agree with it, no. But if you're going to do it, I'll eat them after you've done it. Why not?
So principally you're a vegan, but you're like you just believe there's a disconnection from the supply chain.
I use this argument against utilitarians. I say, under the blanket of utilitarianism, I'm more of a vegan than you as a vegan who votes, and I eat meat according to their own philosophy.
So you reject animal slavery. You don't
Was der labert.
believe animals should be oppressed.
I don't agree with the slaughterhouses or anything like that, right? Yeah. However,
Ja, was soll man dazu groß sagen? Was sind die Prämissen für diese ganzen Schwachsinnsaussagen, die ihr hier macht?
I'm not the one giving them the permits and granting them permission to do it. And whether it be a slaughterhouse or you as an individual that kills an animal in front of me.
Ja, mach einfach NTT. Ich weiß nicht, wo sind wir gerade wieder? Der hat doch gerade ganz normal NTT gemacht, oder?
Like a chicken, for example, and just leaves it. I'm going to eat it. I'm not going to allow it to die in vain. Right, yeah. Nevertheless, if no one was doing that, I'd probably go out and hunt my own pheasants or something. Right, yeah, because I'm an Englishman. This is my land, and pheasants go well with other vegetables, and I can forage and hunt my own food. Right, yeah, I don't need to rely on the state. And that's another argument with the vegan diet, right? Yeah, a vegan diet. You say you're not a voter, but as a vegan, a strict vegan diet, according to PhD doctors, right? Yeah, is a killer diet without supplements from the state. So you rely on the state, the vitamin supplements, which is an offshoot of the pharmaceutical company, in order to keep you alive. So look, there's man, and then there's government, which is a concept of man, which has agents to represent it. And then they create policies which allows vitamin companies to create their products, which keeps you vegans alive. So a diet that you have to adhere to, right, yeah, makes you subordinate, right, yeah, to concepts of man that are 4 times removed from the principle.
But this is the same as any. We're all reliant on the system somehow to get our nutrients, aren't we?
No, I'm not reliant on government for anything.
Of course you are. You'd starve to death just like every other mass starvation in history.
I know how to forage my own edibles and hunt my own food.
That's what every African says. That's what everyone in the Great Leap Forward said.
I'm not lying to you. I'd only be lying to myself. I don't need to lie to anyone. You have no power over me to lie to you. Yeah. I can hunt. I can show you the books now that teaches you all about wild edibles in England. I can hunt and forage my own food.
Ja, komplett alles am Thema vorbei, ne? Ich kann für mich selbst sorgen, ich kann jagen und sowas. Komplett am Thema vorbei. Es geht hier um eine Moralfrage. Nicht gecheckt bis jetzt, okay.
I don't rely on the state. I don't mind using it as a convenience, but I don't rely on it. I don't need it. I have my own life skills.
Okay. But you would be absolutely fucked without any kind of modern technology. Face it. Like you wouldn't know how to fashion clothes. You wouldn't have.
Was ist das Argument? Man darf Fleisch essen, weil man sich selbst erhalten kann oder was? Ohne Gesetze oder was soll das Argument sein?
You would find it very hard to survive.
Ja, darf man das mit Menschen machen? Darf so Menschen jagen gehen?
Completely rely on the rest of society.
No.
So you think you'd invent all this stuff?
What are you on about? It's already been invented. I don't rely on it.
The question I asked you is if you'd be
if the government shut down tomorrow, I can hunt and forage my own wild edibles, right? Yeah.
Soll das die Rechtfertigung sein, ja, NTT?
Food. I'm not relying on the government for anything.
Und da soll das die Antwort auf NTT sein.
Whatsoever. I've already got clothes. And let's jump onto the other scientific argument. Did you know the scientific community abuses roughly 200 million animals per year? And every time you use devices like this that you're communicating to me on.
Oh mein Gott. Jetzt kommt das Technikargument. Technik tötet ja Tiere und du benutzt ja auch Tiere, du Veganer. Das kannst du dir nicht vorstellen. Natürlich, sobald der Omni merkt, dass er in Trouble ist, geht's los mit den Two Cocky Fallacies.
Now you're telling the scientific community to go and abuse more animals. No different.
Darf man Menschen Schlachthäuser bauen, weil Veganer Technik benutzen?
To the supply and demand argument you tried to give me.
Well, we can't compare the whole microparts in technology as a result of their being.
Aber wir erinnern uns, er kam ja schon am Anfang mit den beim Hände zusammenklatschen tötest du ja Millionen Bakterien. So, ja, ab da war alles klar. Ab da, wie ich gesagt habe, geht's nur noch downhill.
A global mass atrocity to actually directly funding that.
Und ich call es jetzt schon, die werden für den Rest der Debatte und um diese Gesetz- und Regierungsding rotieren. In einer Endlosschleife. Wir sehen es jetzt schon kommen, das ist immer so. Die Debatte ist eigentlich immer ganz am Anfang, danach wiederholt sich alles nur noch. Weil keiner von seinem Punkt abrücken will.
Although you don't seem to, you believe that there seems to be some kind of disconnection there. But I'm still not convinced on your point that you say you don't agree with slaughterhouses, but then it seems you do agree with killing animals for nutrition.
What are you on about? I don't agree with slaughterhouses. I'm not responsible for the actions of others, but I don't mind killing an animal if I'm hungry.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go on that then. Okay, and would you agree with killing a human if you were hungry?
If needs be. If needs be, right, yeah, but no.
Ja, und jetzt werden die Modalitäten natürlich in seinem Favor verdreht.
No, that would be murder, logically, right?
Jetzt bringt er den Markus Rühl. Auf einer einsamen Insel würde ich auch Hunde essen. Wer hat gefragt?
Yeah, I don't mind eating someone that's died in a survival type scenario, like on a boat or in a desert island or something of that nature. If someone died naturally, that's one thing, but killing another man or woman or child.
Da geht's los mit dying naturally. Oh Gott.
In order to sustain my own life, that's murder, premeditated.
Okay, okay. So I guess the question I'll ask you is, what is it that's true of, say, a deer or a pheasant that, if true of a human, would cause you to say it was justified to shoot that human and eat them?
Well, you invoked animal rights. I don't know of any animal that invokes them themselves. Right? Yeah, rights are a concept of man. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that give people legal protections. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
If an animal can tell me not to kill it because it doesn't want me to, then
Ja, jetzt arbeitet das Bullshit-Bingo durch. Also was jetzt die Fähigkeit haben zu sprechen, was mit Menschen, die nicht sprechen können.
I'll probably be inclined not to.
Mhm. So let's say there was a human who couldn't tell you not to kill them. Would you think it was okay to kill them?
I don't eat humans.
I don't eat humans. Wer hat gefragt? Ja, kann man einfach nur noch durchlaufen lassen. Das ist einfach nur absolut unterstes Level wieder mal. Und ich dachte echt, jetzt, der sieht auch so ein bisschen so aus, als wie so ein Philosophie-Freak oder sowas. Aber ja, das ist hier mal komplett nach hinten losgegangen.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't. Listen,
I
the word
know.
Ja, muss nur noch mit China ankommen. In China essen sie ja Hunde.
Because you
what-
believe it's murder, right? You
No,
believe it would be wrong.
No, in the code of conduct of man, the English tongue you and I are communicating in, it's classified as murder, premeditated murder.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right. But killing an animal to sustain yourself, right, yeah, isn't mankind has dominion
Yeah.
over the animals.
And you agree with that, right? You agree that we have dominion over animals and it shouldn't be murder to kill them.
It's a factor at play, whether I agree with
Okay.
it or not. Mankind has dominion over animals because of the consciousness and sentience you've
Yeah.
alluded to.
But I'm talking here about your own moral.
Dominion. Ist Dominion der Trade oder was? Ja, wir haben Dominion über Babys. Darf man die farmen?
So I'm trying to convince you of the arguments for animal rights from your own moral system here.
Und wir sehen alle, wozu das dann runterbeult. Ne? Am Ende wird es nicht sein, alles, was der bis jetzt gesagt hat, sondern am Ende wird es sein, nee, es ist Menschsein.
So yes, I know these things are happening, just like rape is happening, and we don't agree with rape. But I'm talking. But from what I gather, you do agree that it's okay to kill animals for food. You do not agree that it's okay to kill humans for food.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just trying to whistle it down to see what the morally relevant trait difference is between those two beings. So I'm just going to re-ask
Ja, der wird sich rumwieseln den Trade.
you again. What is it that's true of animals that, if true of humans, would cause you to say it was okay to round up and gas and stab and shoot humans for a burger?
What is it that's true of animals? That
Yes.
is true.
Deswegen mag ich das nicht, NTT in dieser Form zu stellen, weil die Menschen das nicht kapieren.
of humans.
That
I
is
don't know
true.
what. Listen. I don't adhere to some of these terminologies you use.
Sure, sure.
I don't know what a human is.
All right.
I don't know what a human is. Ja, das ist mal eine steile Aussage.
There's a word in my holy scripture. Right there. There's man, women,
Er weiß nicht, was ein Mensch ist.
and man, woman, and child. There's men, women, and children. Right
Okay,
there.
we'll do children then. That's
Humans,
fine.
right?
All right, let's do children then. That's fine. Okay.
Right.
You would obviously agree, just like most sane, rational people, that killing children for food would be wrong.
Wie lange die überlegen müssen, auch das ist auch so ein Zeichen, dass irgendwas mit dem Kopf nicht stimmt. Immer diese Fragen. Man darf Tiere nicht farmen, aber Menschen man darf Tiere farmen, aber Menschen nicht. Dann sitzen die und dann überlegen die. Genauso wie jetzt. Man darf Kinder nicht farmen, oder? Der überlegt. Was überlegst du? Was überlegst du dort? Kannst du mir das erzählen? Warum muss ich bei sowas nicht überlegen? Kann mir das jemand erzählen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. So, what is it that's true of animals that, if true of a child, would make it justified to kill that child for food?
Nothing.
The thing is, it has to be something, because there has to be a certain set of traits about animals that's making you say that it's okay to kill them. So the reason
Mankind, according to the scripture, all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mankind?
According to the scripture, mankind has dominion over animals. New
Dominion, siehst
insects and creatures and bacteria and whatnot are discovered every day and named.
Yeah.
Mankind and if there was a predator to man out there, like they'd have
Der hat doch so eine undeutliche Aussprache, fürchterlich. Ist Brite oder sowas wahrscheinlich, oder?
dominion over mankind, right? Yeah. Do you shed a tear morally or otherwise. Every
Und jetzt fängt er an, Gegenfragen zu stellen. Ja.
time you see a zebra being killed by a tiger or lion.
It does upset me when I see wild animal suffering. Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, regardless of whether you like it or not, it's justified.
What? Er fragt ihn gerade, ob er eine Träne vergießt, der Veganer, wenn Zebra gefressen wird. Und jetzt sagt er, es ist egal, was du davon hältst. Digga. Omnis, Alter.
You're the one using the word justification. The fact that the lion hunts down the zebra is perfectly justified on this earth, in the universe.
Ja, ist perfectly justified. Ja, und wenn man dich darauf presst, wirst du auseinanderfliegen, weil du nicht verteidigen kannst, dass das Zebra gefressen werden darf.
Under guard, however you wish to.
Ich habe noch nie einen Menschen gesehen, der die Position verteidigen konnte, dass ein Löwe ein Zebra fressen darf. Noch nie in meinem Leben habe ich sowas gesehen.
Describe it. It's justified.
Okay, so
It's justified. Ja, also redest du von deiner Meinung. It's justified under your moral system. Und wenn man dich darauf presst, kannst du es nicht justifieren.
all right. So you're invoking the whole religious argument. Okay.
No. You invoked
Und labert irgendwas von Universum. Wundervoll.
Yes,
it.
yes,
You
yes.
invoked it.
No, you did.
Invoked it.
No, you did.
You invoked it by using the word justified. You didn't know the word. You used the word justification, and you didn't know the word. You didn't know the etymological meaning of the word.
No, we're going by your moral system here. I'm going to convince you that you either have an inconsistent moral
Ja, es geht um dich, ob du es glaubst oder nicht.
position on humans and animals, or that you could have a consistent position on it. Maybe you do have a consistent position. We're going to find that out. Okay. So if the Bible granted us dominion over children and said that we can kill them for food.
Ja, der wird die Frage nicht beantworten. Der wird sagen, steht dort nicht drin. Immer der von religiösen Heinis, immer dieselbe Ausrede. Steht dort nicht drin. Ja, deswegen fängt er den Satz mit if an. Der absolute Nackenbrecher.
Would it be okay to enslave children?
It does say that in a roundabout way. It does say that in a roundabout way. It says, the Holy Scripture says, mankind can use anything from seed, and you and I come from seed.
So you do agree that we can...
No, I agree. No, I agree. Cannibalism exists.
Es ist nicht die Frage, ob es existiert. Wir brauchen eine normative Antwort.
I'm not asking you if it exists.
Nicht deskriptiv.
It's not my palate.
This isn't... All right,
It's
we
not my
both
palate.
disagree.
Right, listen.
It's not your
right,
palate.
Listen. Yeah, you.
Okay,
it's
so
like
if children-
it's like
so-
beauty. It's like beauty.
Okay.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Right? Yeah. Right. What you find beautiful, I might not find beautiful, and vice versa. What you like to eat, I might not like to eat, and vice versa.
Alter, dieses Rambling.
Right? Yeah. Some people like to eat other human beings or mankind or whatever word that you wish to describe. Right? Yeah. Whatever
And is that
we are.
justified in your worldview that they do
It's just yeah, it's perfectly cannibalism is justified, right? Yeah, but in the English tongue, it's a crime, illegal. It's illegal.
Er hat ja gesagt. Es ist justified, Menschen zu essen.
that? Okay, but you don't agree with the British law on it. You think it's morally acceptable to kill children for food.
No, I didn't say that. I agree with the law.
You do agree with the law. Okay, so you don't agree that it's okay to kill children for food. So I'm asking you now.
No,
to
but the
name
scripture says, mankind can use anything from seed, so it's a choice, isn't it? You have a choice to be a cannibal.
And do you
have a
agree with the
choice to be a
scripture?
you have a choice to be a cannibal, whether
Ja, die ganze Zeit das übliche Problem in Debatten mit Omni ist die ganze Zeit das Hin- und Hergespringe zwischen deskriptiven und normativen Aussagen. Weil er nicht festhalten kann, was deskriptiv und normativ ist. Deswegen mischt er die permanent in jedem Satz zweimal. Ja.
regardless of any laws of man. Do you understand that?
Yeah, do you agree with this?
Der beschreibt die ganze Zeit Situationen, anstatt normativ darauf zu antworten. Niemand juckt, wie die Situationen sind. Die Frage ist, wie du es findest.
Scripture when it
Absolutely.
says... So you do
Mankind.
think it's morally justified to...
Did you are you monetized on YouTube?
Yeah.
Right, so you signed a contract with Google and YouTube, right? Yeah, they are
Yeah.
using you and you using them. Man can use anything from seed. You're just not being used for food, or perhaps you are. I don't know, in a spiritual sense. But you're being used, and you are using other men, right? Yeah, and other men are using you. You're being used, just like it says in the Holy Scripture. So I don't see any difference to eating a chicken than Google paying you your wages. It's no different, man.
Yeah.
And
okay,
like,
but what I want to get here is if there's a morally relevant trait difference between humans, between animals and children that justifies enslaving and murdering one but not the other. I don't think there is one. I'm trying to find out if you think there is one.
yeah, you said justification, and we're on about killing, right? There's a difference between killing and eating. I wouldn't kill another individual, man, woman, or child to eat. However, on a desert island type sort of scenario, survival thing, if one of them died, we'd all put them on a fire and eat them, all of us, because starvation will do strange things to an individual, including you. Don't think you're immune to this. Don't think your moral stances would outweigh starvation, because it wouldn't. Like, if you know anything about mankind, right? Yeah, you know what your limits are, and starvation isn't one of them. It will do strange things to you. So
yeah,
during starvation, right? Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. But killing another man, woman, or child to purposely eat, I don't agree with that. However, like using man, woman, and child to your own ends in order to put meat on the table, right? Yeah, is being done to you right now just by signing a simple cash monetary system contract with Google.
Yeah,
you're putting meat. You right? Listen, regardless of.
Boah, ist der Typ auch anstrengend, ne? Das ist unglaublich. Ist der fucking anstrengend.
People giving birth to other people and stuff like that. You're putting me.
Ein einziges Chaos, ey. Ein einziger Albtraum.
You're killing animals and putting that meat on other people's plate.
Und das ist, glaube ich, jedem klar, oder falls jemandem nicht klar, warum der so viel redet, warum der die ganze Zeit diese 100 Punkte anbringt und alles vermischt und zwischen normativ und deskriptiv switcht. Ja, um alles so undeutlich wie nur möglich zu machen. Ja, weil je undeutlicher es ist, umso. Wie greifst du den jetzt an? Welchen Punkt greifst du an? Der vermischt die ganze Zeit und springt dann auch noch zwischen deskriptiv und normativ herum. Ja, das ist ganz klar. Deswegen kann er nicht aufhören zu reden.
By being monetized on YouTube.
Übel anstrengender Typ.
Again, this would devolve into a very long-winded and very boring conversation about directness of harm with like living in a society that pays this or that. But
I don't live in a society.
Hold on. Right. I'm trying to. I need you to be more linear and clear now because we're trying to figure out if you have a consistent position between killing children and killing animals.
Sieh, und der spricht das auch an. Ja, der ist echt gut, der Georg. Der merkt sowas auch. Er sagt, wir müssen einen Punkt festhalten, geradlinig bleiben, weil der merkt, dass das ein einziges Chaos ist und der merkt, der versteht, was der Omni hier gerade tut. Was für eine Technik der hier benutzt, um hier vor seiner Verantwortung wegzulaufen.
Animals for food, and the conversation's going a bit all over the place, and I don't want to get scallop a load. I don't want to...
All over the place. Here we go.
Hang on. Why are you comparing a child to an animal in the first place? That's just weird to me.
No, with the.
Weißt du, wie kaputt man im Kopf sein muss, um diese Frage zu stellen? Der versteht nicht, warum fragt der Georg, also der Veganer, warum kommst du jetzt mit einem Kind an? Was hat ein Kind mit einem Tieressen zu tun? Kindessen mit Tieressen. Was hat das eine mit anderen zu tun? Guck mal, wenn du das schon nicht verstehst, du verstehst diesen Punkt nicht, warum man damit ankommt. Dir kann niemand mehr helfen.
The idea of name the trait is that you compare two different objects and you trait equalize them to see if you have a different position.
And so I'm asking why are you comparing these two different things? Like, why are you comparing a child to a chicken?
Because I'm trying to show you that from your
Dreimal darfst du raten, du Intelligenzbestie.
Own moral system, you potentially have an inconsistent position in not being vegan.
Why? If a chicken could speak English and say, we want...
No, du gibst dem Chicken nicht Traits vom Menschen, sondern genau andersrum. Nice try.
Rights, don't kill us. Right, yeah.
Wenn ein Chicken sprechen könnte, dann würde ich das auch nicht mehr essen. Ja. Es funktioniert in die andere Richtung.
So is that the trait?
You'd have a logical argument. Yeah, a code of conduct, right? Yeah, you keep invoking the word sentience and consciousness, right? Yeah, and suffering, but you have never witnessed these claims coming from another animal in any verbal context, in any code of conduct that you can decipher to me right now.
Yeah, and that's
weil die Tiere das nicht sagen können, dass sie sentient sind.
why I don't believe speech is a morally relevant trait.
Man hätte ihn jetzt schon in 20 Widersprüche reindrücken können, wenn man bei einem geblieben wäre. Aber das ist bei dem hier unmöglich, glaube ich. Du fragst, ist es dieser Trade? Und dann fängt er an mit, ja, aber warte mal, aber es ist ja per Gesetz erlaubt und dieses Gesetz, du votest ja und das hat ja Auswirkungen auf das Gesetz und ja. Der wird einfach davonlaufen, egal was du sagst. Ist halt ein Rambling Masterclass hier. Also übelst ekelhafter Typ.
But I take it that you do.
I believe every single thing mankind has ever done, will do, and will do in the future is perfectly natural, no different.
Sein Hauptwerkzeug bei diesem Omni-Typ, sein Hauptwerkzeug ist Muddy the Waters. Alles alles unklar halten, alles durchmixen, normativ, deskriptiv durchmixen, alles so unklar wie möglich zu machen. Einfach ein einziges Scheiß-Chaos.
To the lion hunting a zebra or the zebra eating grass.
Right, but
Vice
something being natural doesn't make it justified, though. I'm sure we can. So anything men do is natural. That makes it okay.
Well, in the eyes of God, absolutely.
So child porn is okay.
Only a paedophile would call it indecent images of children porn in the first place. It's not porn to a law-abiding, civilized individual. It's only porn to the paedophile. Porn is a legitimate aspect of life, right? Yeah, that is adult entertainment for consenting adults. And
ja, wie der immer von anderen redet, ne? Sehr interessant. Wen juckt, was andere denken, was andere sagen? Du debattierst doch gerade, oder? Er redet die ganze Zeit mit dir.
Yeah, but rape of
Warum würde man auch nur ein einziges Mal das Moralsystem von Dritten anwenden?
Let's call it rape of children.
Das sind also so kaputte Menschen, unglaublich.
Let's call it rape of children.
I never called it that. You did, so yeah.
Call it
the
what
rape
you want.
of,
It's not
you wouldn't be here
justified, is
today.
it?
You wouldn't be here today. Yes, it is. You
What?
You turning your back on God and becoming evil and letting all the evil in to control you and doing evil, monstrous act is justified in the eyes of God. That's what's written in the scripture. You are free to do that, to turn your back on God and let all the evil in and commit evil acts. And you doing that and being solely responsible for all the evil you do in this world and let in is justified, glorious in the eyes of God, because no one else did it to you. You did it to yourself. And having that choice, that freedom to be a righteous individual or an evil individual, right? Yeah. It was granted to you, and whichever way you turn is justified in the eyes of God. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a choice given to you in the first place.
Oh, so anything's justified in your worldview?
Yeah, but it doesn't make it righteous just because it's justified.
What the hell does that mean?
Right. Raping children isn't a righteous act.
But it's justified?
How could it be otherwise? It's happening. God will send great evils upon those who deserve it, right? Yeah, and whatever's
Children
going on.
Alter, das ist unglaublich. Er fragt ihn, ist das ein gerechtfertigt? Er fragt ihn. Und er sagt, also er fragt nach einer normativen Frage, ist das gerechtfertigt? Ne? Da muss eine normative Antwort kommen. Und er sagt, es passiert in der Welt. Also deskriptiv. Dicker.
Whatever's going on in life, right? Yeah. But how do you know they didn't rape someone in a previous life or rape children in a previous life and they are suffering the consequences of their own actions? Right. Yeah.
Dude, come on. Now we're going into cuckoo land.
Why? It's spirituality. Have you ever, you say you got a wife. Do you love her?
Of course.
Da kommt der Hardcore-Derail. Ja, ich sehe schon eine Schwäche hier auf jeden Fall bei der Debattiertechnik von dem Georg. Der wird halt gedragt, ne? Der geht alles mit. Immer wenn ihm Fragen gestellt werden, beantwortet er die. Ganz großer Fehler. Ganz großer Fehler. Daran erkennst du Debater, die nicht gut sind, die anfangen, auf Fragen zu antworten. Vor allem komplett aus dem Kontext gerissen. Irgendwas, der hat ihm gerade ganz deutlich eine Frage gestellt, wie der es normativ bewertet, und der fragt ihn einfach irgend so eine Frage zurück jetzt. Und er antwortet auch noch darauf. Oh mein Gott.
So, can you prove love to me, or is it a spiritual aspect of life? Or are we entering into cuckoo land? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you can't prove love.
What?
You can't prove any. Can you prove love to me? Can you prove your love to your wife to me now, or anyone else?
We can actually prove in the brain.
Or is it? No, you can't. Or is it a spiritual aspect of life?
No, there's like we have chemical hormones or whatever released, like oxytocin and all this kind of stuff when we're in love.
The brain and the mind are no less synonymous scientifically. Did you not know that?
But look, we're massively meandering now from the topic. My aim here was to come on and to try to convince you of
my aim. You might have been your aim, but my aim was, and this is how I approached you, and we can go back to the principal start of everything, right? Yeah, I approached you saying I've never lost a debate versus a vegan ever in my entire life.
Okay,
and all you're trying to do,
hat noch nie eine Debatte gegen einen Veganer verloren. Genau, wir sehen hier gerade, was für ein krasser Spezialist du bist. Debate Master.
Trying to do, name the traits, right? Yeah, I've named you the trait.
Du kannst nicht mal einen roten Faden halten, Junge. Dein allererster Punkt war, beim Klatschen sterben Millionen von Bakterien. Meister-Debater.
Any of these sentient beings that you proclaim to care about that are not man, woman, or child, right? Yeah, script a code of conduct between them and their own kind that I can decipher and interpret for myself, and look at their rules and look at their laws between their own species. If they can't, then they're not on par with mine and who I am, right? Yeah, and whatever the fuck I am on this earth.
Okay,
that's and no different. Listen to me, no different to the lion and zebra, right? Yeah, I won't eat any other animal no different to the lion and zebra, and or insects or whatever plant or vegetable.
So that's the trait, yeah. The having a code of conduct.
Well, can you? What's your argument against it?
Okay, the argument is this: if there was a human, a child, who could not formulate a code of conduct, would it be justified on your moral worldview to slit their throat and eat them?
A code of conduct is already written on behalf of child, woman, and man.
No, but
need to.
The trait, what else was
the traits I'm on about?
True of animals, if true of a human would justify killing that human. So that's the trait you're naming, and now you're getting right.
Your argument doesn't hold water.
Yeah, no. This is your argument. It's not my argument. It's yours.
I'm telling you why your argument doesn't hold water.
I'm telling you, it's your argument that doesn't hold it. Your argument doesn't hold it.
That is applied to them before they're even born, right? Yeah. Well, so any code of conduct of any animal that you're alluding to would have a code of conduct for them before they were born, but I could go and reference. They do not have one. So there's the traits difference. There's the trait difference. Now, what's your argument against that?
This is the trait you're naming. So it cannot create a code of conduct. Is that the trait?
For for starters, it's a trait that to start this process. I'm willing to entertain what your presupposition, right? Yeah, your loaded question. I've entertained it. The animals that you're referring to, that you're comparing to man, woman, or child, right? Yeah, doesn't have a code of conduct. Doesn't have a code of conduct. You are, because you're saying, so if a man, a woman, or child doesn't have a code of conduct, is it justified to eat them? Right. So, but the code of conduct is written for man, woman, and child before they are born. Your question makes no coherent sense.
I said if.
Yeah, if means
if a child had no code of conduct.
If is a conditional precedent, which means other factors must be relevant for this conditional precedent to be answered or be queried, right? Yeah, and the code of conduct for man, woman, and child is in place before they're born. I can reference it. Right? Yeah.
Well, we have
do deers, but you mentioned deers. Do deers have a code of conduct for all the deers that are born within their species and community? That I can go.
Was man hier auch als Konter anbringen könnte, ist, es gab eine Zeit, da haben Menschen auf der Erde existiert und da gab es keinen Gesellschaftsvertrag. Siehst du, es gibt Menschen, die stehen nicht unter einem Gesellschaftsvertrag. Dürfte man die damals farmen, ja oder nein? Also, ja, wir wollen hier nicht mit Modallogik anfangen, weil der sagt natürlich, was er hier sagen will, ist, es gibt keine Menschen, die nicht unter dem Gesellschaftsvertrag stehen. Ja, unter welcher Modalität?
In reference.
Well, they technically do, but even let's say that they didn't. Let's say that they don't. That's fine. You can.
No, but let's look at I want to look at the technical one. What's the technical one?
Right. This is.
No, I want to look at the technical one. You said they technically do. So what's this technical code of conduct that deers have?
Well, animals can communicate with each other, and they have little rules and stuff, and they.
I'm not saying they don't.
Right. Okay.
I'm saying what's the code of conduct that they have that I can decipher that says between themselves, like, yeah, they can't kill each other and they can't eat each other and they don't want to be they got rights and they don't want to be hunted by mankind or something like that. Where can I decipher this information from any other of the animal kingdom that I belong to?
I'm just going to grant that as true. Okay, that's fine. You can say
Right, so that's one.
Right.
So that's one
Okay.
trait.
Oh, so you've got a list of traits. I can write these down. Okay, so 1, cannot create a code of conduct. What's your next trait?
Well, you require more than that.
No, it's up to you.
Okay.
I'm asking you, what is it that's true of animals that, if true of a child, would justify slitting that child's throat for a burger?
Yeah.
Now, this is your moral code we're going with here. You can name as many or as few traits.
No, but that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. The argument should be, as far as I'm concerned, your question should be, what's true of a child, right? Yeah, or man or woman, that isn't true of an animal that allows you to eat the animal? Well, they're not my own kind, for one, and we have a code of conduct and laws I adhere to, I think are righteous. Although I acknowledge that cannibalism is a trait of mankind and even legally protected in some areas of the world. Right? Yeah, there are tribes out there that practice cannibalism, and they are legally within their tribe allowed to do so.
But the point is, we're taking the traits about humans that you value that make it, or we're taking the traits about animals that you think it makes it okay to actually do these things to them, and we're just seeing if that would hold up if it was a child.
But that makes no sense.
Why would you?
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
To see you to probe to investigate your moral system.
Right.
Just
as any. All right. Okay. Here's another trait. Has any animal on this earth eaten man, woman, or child ever? Taken bites out of them and eaten them ever? If so,
yeah,
that's fair game. Then we can hunt any animal on earth.
That would be a category error, because the animals that you eat tend not to do that.
It doesn't matter. What do you mean category? What's the category error? Life on Earth.
Dude, sheep and cows do not eat humans, so you can't list that. And yet you're saying it's justified to kill them because they eat humans.
No, of course. If everything man has done, will do, and will continue to do is perfectly justified. You keep using this word, justified.
Then what's the point in this debate then? Because if you just think anything humans do is justified, then how can I convince you of anything?
Yeah, but I didn't say righteous. Yeah, and there's a difference between justified and righteous. I just think you're using the wrong word.
Let's use that word righteous then, because right, okay. Let's go. Let's see. All right, let's go right. This is solely from your own moral framework. Okay, right. What is it that's true of animals that, if true of a child, would make it righteous to slit that child's throat and eat them?
Nothing. There's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, would justify slitting a child's throat and eating it for whatever reasons.
Then that should be your position with animals, because if you don't even believe that there's certain traits, certain things that make it.
Fragt nach dem Trait und sagt, da ist kein Trait. Nothing, da ist nichts. Da ist kein Trait, aber du antwortest asymmetrisch. Seltsam. Auf welcher Basis antwortest du denn unterschiedlich, wenn da kein Unterschied ist? Oh Gott. Omni-Weltmeisterschaften hier.
Righteous to.
If you're unable to intellectually decipher the distinction between man, whatever we are, and the rest of nature,
you're misunderstanding what name the trait is.
No.
You can ask this with me and plants if you want. You can literally ask me, George. You can take two completely different beings that have completely different moral value in my framework. You can say to me, George, what is it that's true of plants that, if true of animals, would make it justified to drop them into a saucepan and boil them, which is what I do to vegetables? And I would be able to name the trait.
Yeah, but you can't.
No, I can.
How? Go on then, name it.
Yeah, sure. If animals lacked a brain, a central nervous system, couldn't feel pain, weren't self-conscious, yeah, it'd be fine to boil them.
Right, but plants have been proven to communicate with one another. So you don't need.
Here we go. Und da sind wir bei Pflanzen, können miteinander kommunizieren und ist allen klar, was er damit ausdrücken will. Here we go. Und es wird immer peinlicher und es geht immer weiter bergab.
Need a brain and nervous system.
Well, they only communicate with each other in the same way that, like, a computer communicates with another computer.
No. They share. Plants of the same species have been known and it's been proven scientifically that they share resources. But plants of opposite genetic or disparities, right? Yeah, actually compete for resources. So no, you're wrong. And when, say, one tree is on fire, it's been known to, for example, send off frequencies of danger and alert into its brothers and sisters in its vicinity. What you're saying is categorically been demonstrably proven wrong by scientific endeavor. Yes, it has. I'll link you to the studies.
Yeah, they're paranormal studies.
No.
The idea that plants actually have any semblance of sentience or
I never said that. I said they communicate with one another.
Yeah, and I agree. The same way as a community.
Ja, das war aber nicht sein Trade. Der hat das niemals als Trade genannt, also warum bringst du es an? Komplett am Thema vorbei, aber okay.
Yeah, but like
communicates.
Yeah, but like
or AI communicates with you, but it's not for when you type something into ChatGPT. ChatGPT's not feeling anything.
Sentience isn't an overwhelming factor for me. I've told you, if on a desert island and I was starving, I'd eat a dead man, woman, or child. It wouldn't make no difference.
Jetzt redet er wieder von seinen Trades, obwohl der gerade den Veganer nach den Trades gefragt hat.
Difference to me, right? Yeah, starvation. Once starvation kicks in, I know what will happen. And it was the same with you. If me and you were on a desert island and someone had died, once starvation kicks in and that leg is over a spitfire and cooking, you're eating it. I don't care about your moral standpoint. But you're going to eat it.
Yeah, that isn't the society we're living in now, though, right? So I can choose.
I don't live in a society. Society is a concept of the mind. No, I don't. I live in this body. You see this body you see here now on cam? I live within the confines of my own skin. Society is a concept. A figment of the imagination. There's no such thing. There's a distinct difference between claims of value and claims of fact. And society is a claim of value that cannot derive from any fact. Right? Yeah. So, like, I don't belong to any society. I'm an individual. I don't work for any meat factories. I'm not a voter. I didn't grant them permission to kill all these chickens and farms in the first place. Right? Yeah. And right, yeah, like I acknowledge that all this scientific computer devices I've got here right now, right, yeah, loads of animals were.
Natürlich isst er auch nur seine selbstgejagten Tiere. Immer das Gleiche. Wie jeder Omni, Biofleisch, nur vom Bauern um die Ecke, wo die gut leben und vom Alter sterben. Ja, immer das Gleiche. Es gibt keinen Omni, der das nicht erzählt. Alles natürlich kollektiv. Lügenbolde.
And abused because of it. There's no way cobalt can be mined without breaking donkeys' backs and little children being sent down mines for it and stuff like that. Right, yeah? So all of these devices in my household, every time I type and let the scientific community know that I'm using them, it makes them go and create more, and we're going to abuse more animals and abuse more people in the process of doing it. It's a vicious circle. But sentience isn't the overriding factor here. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what can you tell me about animals that's so special about them that I shouldn't eat them when they're eating each other?
Yeah. So there's humans. I mean, you eat animals.
Ja, aber Tiere essen sich ja selber. Hat er noch irgendwas nicht gesagt? Hat er noch irgendwas aus dem Omni-Bullshit-Bingo noch nicht gesagt? I don't know.
Does that mean it's okay for someone to kill and eat you?
Obviously, right? Yeah, if they're able to do it, how can it be otherwise? You tell me what's so special about animals, right? Yeah.
Okay, so you would agree with the UK law changing tomorrow that it would be okay to kill you to eat you?
Right. There's a difference between agreeing with something, and accepting it as a factor of life, right? What I'm asking you a question. You're a vegan. What's so special about animals, right? Yeah. That makes man shouldn't be eating them.
Ja, der bräuchte eine ganz andere Art von Debattengegner. Der bräuchte Ask Yourself. Weil Ask Yourself den mit nichts davon kommen lassen würde. Ask Yourself kannst du nicht draggen, und ja, der würde ihm erklären, jeden einzelnen Punkt erklärend, halt bei jedem einzelnen Punkt stehen bleiben. Anstatt hier beim, ich weiß nicht, 28. Punkt zu sein, wo wir jetzt gerade sind.
What makes animals so special? But man shouldn't be eating them when they are eating each other.
Yeah. Well, that's the say. I could just ask you what's so special about you that means it shouldn't be okay to murder you when you eat animals.
Right, and my answer to that is, right, yeah, me hunting a deer is no different to a lion hunting a deer.
Oh, so it's okay to kill you then?
See, seine Rechtfertigung jetzt ist Appeal to Lions Fallacy. Also weil ein Löwe das macht, darf der das auch machen. So, der ist auf einmal kein Moral Agent mehr. Löwen vergewaltigen, darf er vergewaltigen. Ne? Yep, der typische Durchschnitts-Omni, immer das Gleiche.
If you think it's okay to kill me, that's fine. But it's okay for other people to think that wasn't okay, to come and hunt you down and hold you accountable for that. That's fine as well.
But let's try and actually. I'm getting very, very confused by your moral system, because one second you'll just say something like, "No, I don't agree with."
Der hat kein Moral System, der kann deskriptive von normativen Fragen nicht unterscheiden.
This, and then the next second you'll just be like, "Yeah, no, this happens, so it's okay." And I'm not. I
never said it's okay. You've missed. So when if you're going to quote me precisely or not at all.
All right, I'm going to quote you very precisely. Let's go with.
Ich frage mich wirklich, wie ist das so, dass diese Vegan-Debatten, würde ich mal sagen, man sagt ja nicht Omni-Debatten, oder ne, Vegan-Debatten, warum die so immer so eine Katastrophe sind. Wie passiert das immer? Dass es einfach so ein unfassbarer Albtraum ist immer.
This list of traits that you're naming. Okay, I'm going to write. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write them down so we can
name a list of traits with any animal that I would eat, for example, that tells me what I shouldn't eat it. What is it? What's so special about these animals?
Yeah, we're going to do that by applying them to a child and seeing if those traits...
just tell me what's special about the animal. Why use anything else? If the animal was truly special, you wouldn't need to compare it to anything else. Just use
they are
the
special
animal.
in my... No. Hold on. I see it as morally wrong to kill and eat animals. Okay, you do not.
You don't.
Was ist so special an Tieren? Also der tut jetzt so, als würde hier irgendwie irgendwas Special Pleading vorliegen, warum man Tiere nicht essen darf oder was? Oder er versteht einfach nicht, warum man da mit Menschen ankommt. Genau deswegen, um dir zu zeigen, dass du es nicht rechtfertigen kannst, die Tiere zu essen. Das siehst du daran, dass man dir mit den Menschen ankommt und du keinen Eigenschaftsunterschied nennen kannst. Genau deswegen stellt man dir ja die Frage.
You don't. No, you don't, because you're using a device right now that abused and killed animals. And
that's Nirvana fallacy.
It's not. You're using a device right now. Right, yeah. You agree not to have any more children, so they don't become vegan.
Darf man Menschenschlachthäuser bauen, weil Veganer ein Device benutzt?
So they don't become.
Nein, darf man nicht, aber man darf Tierschlachthäuser bauen. Cool, nennt man den Eigenschaftsunterschied.
Harness or whatever, right? Yeah. But you're telling the scientific community now to go and create more of these devices, more of these things, right? Yeah. And animals and people will be abused in the process.
Yeah, but this isn't a scrutiny you put anyone else under for having any kind of view. You wouldn't say to someone who's against kids being abused, "Oh, you buy a smartphone."
I would if they give their child under the age of 16 or under the age of consent a smartphone, absolutely.
No, but they're owning one themselves and they're against child abuse, yet you're not applying... This is the scrutiny that vegans get. We get scrutinized for...
I would. You're saying I wouldn't, but I would.
Okay. So if someone just says, "I'm against Madeleine McCann being kidnapped and raped and murdered," you would say to them, "Well, you have a smartphone."
No, because... we're not on about the same thing, are we? Clearly. Like, yeah. Like, I understand. Like,
we're not on the same thing. Ja, dann kannst du den Eigenschaftsunterschied nennen.
In order to make a smartphone, you don't need to kidnap a child like McCann from a family, blah, blah, blah. The children that are being sent down in these mines to mine cobalt, right, yeah, are being sent down by their family members and brothers and sisters and whatnot. And the donkeys that are having their bracts broken and their hooves never clipped and whatnot and abused and whatnot to carry this minerals to get to your smartphones and stuff like that. It's not the same argument as committing a crime upon someone. The people that are doing it in these countries, right, yeah, are doing it legally within their own frameworks. However, that's not justified from the legal system me and you are engaging in right now.
Yeah, so if you see that as incomparable, and you wouldn't ask someone who's against the kidnap of Madeleine McCann, "Oh, but do you have a smartphone?" Then you can't say to a vegan.
But no children no children, as far as I'm concerned, right, yeah, were kidnapped from their parents without their consent in order to make your smartphone. So it's a false comparison, right? Yeah, like if you send your children down in mines, and or the government sending your children down in mines, right? Yeah, to mine cobalt. and you're like, I don't like that on your smartphone. And I'd be like, well, why have you got a smartphone then when you're like, you're telling them to go and do more of it, right? Yeah. So you're contradicting yourself in that regards. And I'm saying you as a vegan on your smartphone or whatever device you're on now, right? Yeah, are contradicting yourself. You're more than willing to use the scientific community.
Contradicting yourself, so weit sind wir schon gekommen. Der Veganer contradicted himself. Ja. Formulier den Widerspruch aus, Intelligenzbestie.
As a whole, right? Yeah, abuses over 200
You are
million
using
animals.
these devices, so you can't scrutinize me.
But I eat animals. I'm not claiming.
Yeah, but you're
to be
against
morally
the abuse
superior.
of children.
But
You're
I'm
against
not,
the abuse
I'm not
of children.
claiming. Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm against the abuse of children, right? Yeah, and I, as a parent, would never send a child down to a cobalt mine either. I am disgusted with these products myself. Absolutely, I hate myself for it. Yeah.
Okay, right.
I hate myself for using these products. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Right, let's get back to let's try and finalize this in a nice linear fashion and without gish galloping all over the place, because we seem to have meandered all over the place with this. So I want you to name the list of traits true of animals that, if true of a child, would justify killing that child. And the reason there has to be a trait is because the trait means that if we apply that to a being, that makes it okay to kill them in your worldview. In this case, a chicken, a cow, a pig. You think there's a certain number of things about chickens, cows, and pigs that makes it okay to kill them, correct?
It's a legality, my friend.
Okay, is that another trait you want to mention? If the legality,
well, you're speaking.
Es ist das Gesetz.
In English legal presumptive fiction. You're communicating in me. You're asking me the question in a legal presumptive fiction, a language that is a legislative language, right? Yeah, in order to conduct.
Das habe ich euch am Anfang gesagt. Es wird sich die ganze Zeit darum drehen. Here we go again.
Law and between one man and another, so it doesn't lead to violence, right? So you're speaking to me in a legal language called English presumptive fiction, right? So yeah, the animals, right, yeah, are legally protected up to a point, and then they're not. So that's another trait. But okay, you obviously have to adhere to this because you're using the English language, which abuses and punishes these animals or which makes these animals suffer, right? Yeah, legally under the English tongue. So just by you, it's a choice to use the English language to communicate in. No one's forcing you to do it. There's no gun to your head right now, and you're using a language that permits the suffering or harm to these animals to be used for however mankind wishes to use them, as is right now. So so
that's the second trait. Do you have any more traits true of animals that, if true of a human, would make it justified to kill the child?
Why don't you reverse it? No, okay. I've given you two, and I want to reverse the equation. What's true?
Well, hold on. We haven't finalized it yet. We have, because you can't just ask me a question back when we haven't finalized the trait stack yet, and just.
But what more do you need?
Okay, that's fine. All right, that's fine.
Wow, man. I've just watched you with an interview or a debate with that other vegan woman and natalist woman. And you were really respectful, man. And let her say, whenever she interrupted you, be like, oh, sorry. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But with me, you're quite happy to shout me down. I think that I'm saying stuff you don't like hearing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's.
Jetzt fängt er noch an rumzuheulen mit Tone Policing. Das ist wirklich. Es ist irgendwie in jedem Stream, will ich sagen, das ist die schlimmste Debatte, die ich je gesehen habe. Aber ich sage das in jedem Stream, aber irgendwie, Alter, es geht immer weiter bergab. Das ist ja, was ist das hier? Was ist das hier für ein Unfall, Alter?
No, I'm just trying.
Guckt euch diesen Unfall mal hier an.
You to shout over me like a petulant child.
You're shouting as well.
I've just said.
Okay, eine Sache kann ich sagen. Ich glaube, das ist das größte Durcheinander, was ich je gesehen habe in einer Debatte. Es gab noch nie so ein Chaos. Es liegen irgendwie 27 Trades auf dem Tisch. Es wurde noch keiner richtig zu Ende gedrückt. Und ja, der musste ihm vom Anfang an erklären, wo der das erste Mal normativ und deskriptiv vertauscht hat. Da hätte er das erklären müssen. Ich glaube, das hätte für sehr, sehr viel Klarheit gesorgt. Und ja. Es ist ein einziger Albtraum.
Educated you that the English language that you're speaking to me in is legal presumptive.
Ja, what the fuck redet er da? Ja, der rambelt einfach alles durcheinander, was ihm gerade in den Kopf kommt.
fiction that gives
Okay.
these animals their rights, or
When I was in the debate,
doesn't grant them their rights.
when
The
I was
English-
in the debate with Emily, when I asked a question, did she just start gish galloping and wriggling all over the place
Yeah,
and red herring and just fly and just like?
I thought so.
All right, fair enough.
And if that's what you think I'm doing, that's fine. I thought I just again like every time I try and tell
Ja, das bildet der Georg sich nur ein. Das ist übel geradlinig gerade. Das ist nicht ein einziges Chaos. Du wirfst nicht alles durcheinander.
you this, you keep interrupting and saying I'm gish galloping. You have asked me a question in an English language, right? Yeah, right. A code of conduct, again, a form of communication that grants these animals that you supposedly care about their rights or not, right? Yeah. So every time you're using this language, like using science, is no differently to me buying a chicken. Me purchasing a chicken is supply and demand, right? Right, according to you vegans. I mean, you using the English language is supply and demand, because the English language, right, yeah, is formulating the law that allows these chickens and these cows to be butchered in slaughterhouses in the first place. So every time you use the English tongue and English language, you're enabling slaughterhouses and the like, right, yeah, to operate in a realm of legal certainty.
Right. Anyway, do you have, so those are the two traits that you're naming. Cannot create a code of conduct.
Genauso wie der Georg reagiert hat, genauso reagiert man darauf. Er labert irgendeinen zusammenhanglosen Blödsinn vor sich hin, komplettes hirntotes Rambling, und du reagierst einfach gar nicht darauf. Du stellst die Frage einfach nochmal. Lass ihn ramblen. Geh nicht drauf ein, geh nicht aufs Rambling ein. Damit verwirrst du dich nur selber.
But it's legal to do so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so if there was a child who could not create a code of conduct and it was legal to murder this child, you'd be okay with killing this child and eating them for a burger?
It depends. If there was no laws of man, no code of conduct on earth, it depends. Like this would
Sieh, und schon wirft er die nächsten Traits rein. Du wurdest widerlegt, oder? Du wolltest ja Nein sagen, oder?
even be a conversation.
Wieder komplettes Rambling, anstatt mit Ja oder Nein zu antworten.
There'd be no intelligence about it. So yeah, I'd probably eat whatever was in front of me, however, whenever I felt like it. There'd be no thought or consciousness to it. It would just be, oh, I've got this feeling. That's it. There'd be no thought behind it. Do you understand? So yes.
But in your own moral system now, let's say, let's say, for example, you were to go to a lawless island, like just a place like maybe like a jungle society that didn't have like a country or a law. They didn't have like a code of conduct, and it was technically legal to kill these children. And in your situation now, so let's just say you're flying over there with a helicopter. Let's just say you're on holiday, just flying over the Amazon or something. Would you deem it morally acceptable by your own standard now? You've got other options to eat. This is your own situation now, to just shoot this child below you in the jungle and just eat them.
Right. I think why do you keep rephrasing the same question? If there's no thought process behind it, and I don't care, and there's no legal framework in place, and there's no protections between anyone else, and there is no technical legalities, there's no code of conduct, but technically it's legal, right? You're contradicting yourself in your own questioning, right? Yeah.
No, I'm just asking for your. I'm just asking if you would think that's okay. Those are the traits you named. So I've just given you a scenario. I'm asking you if it's okay.
Whether I think it's okay.
Georg stellt ihm Fragen und er sagt, du widersprichst dir. Er widerspricht sich in einer Frage. Also.
Hey, right. What you're trying to say is like, if I lifted myself out of this moral framework, because I'm not in this moral framework, and put myself in a condition where the English language was never known to me.
Und ich dachte, ein Widerspruch wäre Proposition und Negation.
And this moral conditioning was never known to me. Would I eat whatever I fucking felt like it whenever I felt like it? Yeah, absolutely. So what? Who cares? Like, yeah, there'd be no thought behind it. So
you would consider it. I'm asking if you'd consider it justified now from your own position now.
Right now, in the English tongue with intelligence, right? Yeah, no, because every man, woman, and child has a code of conduct applied to it when we are engaging in the intellectual realm of the English language. It's a legal language, right? Yeah, man.
Ja, der echte Trade ist Mensch und nicht Gesellschaftsvertrag. Hoffentlich skippt der Georg das und kommt endlich zum Punkt.
Woman and child have legal rights and freedoms, right? Yeah, that are bestowed upon.
Was der Omni-Brain hier sagen will, ist natürlich, nein, man darf das Kind nicht farmen, wenn es nicht unter dem Gesellschaftsvertrag steht, weil es ein Mensch ist. Das will er die ganze Zeit sagen.
Them when they are born, right?
Yeah, and
Das wäre ein Widerspruch und wir hätten einen zweiten Trade, der lautet Mensch sein.
in this
Animals
society that I've
and
listed, they don't.
And animals do to a certain point in the English language, in the English tongue, right? Yeah.
Digga, was hat er mit seiner English Language? Wie oft willst du das noch sagen?
And if you,
Okay.
and
I
if
just gave
you,
you
and if you cared more about these animals, right? Yeah. If you cared more about these animals than mankind, for example, you'd stop using the English tongue that allows these animals to be put in the slaughterhouses in the first place.
That's
There's
an
no
insane reach, but okay.
How is it an
I'll
insane
speak to you in
reach?
Klingon. Let's do the rest of this fucking debate in Klingon.
No, you have to speak to me in a language that doesn't eat meat. Klingons eat meat.
Konnichiwa.
Japanese eat meat.
Ah, you got me. Very well done.
You know what I mean, yeah? If you can't speak to me in a legal language, right, yeah, that doesn't eat meat products on this earth or abuses animals in any which way, shape or form, then you are...
Ja, der denkt immer noch, es geht um Gesetzmäßigkeiten. Zieht euch das mal rein.
And fulfilling yourself and basking in, submerged in, dwelling in, swimming in, right, yeah, the very essence that abuses these animals in the first place. You're no one to be pointing fingers and judge. The only vegan...
Ich bin ja geduldig, ne? Nur von mir siehst du irgendwie niemals Debatten, die 1:15 gehen. Wenn ich merke, dass die Person die Frage nicht entertaint, dann wird die gekickt. Ansonsten passiert genau das. Was bringt das irgendwem?
Veganism is a diet, right, yeah, that
Nein, Veganism ist keine Diet.
derives from Satanism.
But then you can't. Hold on. Then you can't have a position on anything because you're using the English language, so you
I
can't
can.
disagree with child porn.
No, it's only porn to the paedophile. They're indecent
Okay,
criminal
I don't
images
care
of
about
children.
this. I don't care about the semantics of it.
Evidently.
I'm fed up of you applying this logic only to me as a vegan, and then you're just letting
I'm not.
pedophiles off the hook and all
I'm not
this stuff because
How did you get to that insane logical leap? How did you get to that insane illogical
or maybe should I
leap?
say, or you're not. Wait, no. Let me rephrase
I
that.
apply this to everybody on Earth. What are you on about? What did
You're
under the
saying
English
that I
tongue?
know.
Under the
You're
English
saying that
tongue,
I have
right,
no
yeah?
right to judge anyone else because I
Shush.
use the English language. Then who does?
Right. Can you use a language now that isn't partaking in the abusement or in abusing animals in any which way, shape, or form? Are you able to do that?
I can't think of one. No, there's.
Stellt euch vor, ihr wärt in dieser Debatte. Also an Georgs Stelle. Was würdet ihr da machen?
So
you are then, by your own admission, partaking in the abusing of animals by using the English language.
That is an insane reach. That's like
How?
saying, are you
Wenn du die englische Sprache benutzt, dann beutest du Tiere aus, hat er gerade gesagt.
partaking in the molestation of children by speaking English?
Why?
Can you
But
name-
is it
can you
is it
name
a
a
crime?
society-
Is it a crime to molest children in the English language? In the
Can you
English
name
law?
a society that doesn't molest children?
Is it a crime? Yes. Is it a crime
Where?
in the English? Let me ask you
The
the
English?
question.
Das macht er dann mit seinen Kopfhörern immer.
Don't molest children?
Right? Can I not legally? No. Is it a crime to molest a child under the age of consent? Under the age of consent in the English tongue, in the English law? Yes or no?
Yes, of course it is.
Right. Stop there
in the
then.
law.
Stop there then. So how did you get to that illogical leap? If you
No,
use
how
the
are
English,
you getting to it, dude?
right? Let me explain it to you. Then you keep speaking over me and shouting over me like a petulant child, like you didn't do with that other pregnant lady. Right? Listen, the English language, right? Yeah, is legal presumptive fiction. Right? Yeah, it's a fiction to represent the
Du willst die Debatte beenden? Ja, wann würdest du die Debatte beenden?
facts and/or concepts of mankind and the law. What you can and cannot do.
Ich schätze, ich wäre irgendwo bei Minute 15, wäre ich rausgehüpft.
If you break the law, all these other people will come and hunt you down and incarcerate you and take your freedoms and liberties away from you, whether you like it or whether I like it or not. There are people that dedicate their lives, willing to sacrifice their lives on this earth to uphold the law, right? And in law, let me finish. In law, it's not legal in the English tongue to molest children, but it is legal to eat animals. So if you use the English language where it is legal to eat animals in the English tongue, you are partaking in those animals being abused and eaten. Whereas children being abused is a crime in the English language.
Oh, okay. So if the UK government legalised
paedophilia tomorrow, illogical fucking leap, didn't you?
Oh, really?
Because you couldn't shut your fucking mouth.
Oh, really? So if the UK government legalised paedophilia tomorrow, you would be participating in child abuse by speaking English.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's a consistent position, I guess. Right, now let's get back to the name the trade.
Warum würde man mit ihm jetzt weiterreden, nachdem jetzt in das Redakteur gebissen hat?
Okay, so you're flying over the Amazon.
Especially if they use the English law to do it, yes. The English law governs the UK Parliament, British law, right, yeah? So yes, any law created in the English tongue that permitted people to rape children, right, yeah, then obviously me using English is partaking in that fulfillment, absolutely, and I'd be disgusted.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate your consistency there. Right, so let's get back. You're flying over the Amazon and there's a child below you. They live in a lawless society. It's fully legal to shoot this child.
And it's not lawless, is it? You just contradicted yourself.
No, it's legal in the sense that there's no law against it. It's not against the law to shoot and kill this child. No country will prosecute you for it.
Everything, everything on earth.
Your worldview, hold on. Can you just answer? Is it okay in your worldview to shoot the child? Yes or no? Please just say yes or no.
No, it's not okay now in my worldview. Now, no.
Okay, so then that's going to be a formal.
Wie lange geht das noch? 15 Minuten.
Contradiction, right? So
no, it's not. It's not a formal contradiction.
So.
What the name the animal, right? Name the animal, deer. You named the deer, and then you went from child.
Worum geht's dort? Keine Ahnung, das weiß keiner. Das ist ein einziges Chaos. Der absolute Unfall, den du dir noch vorstellen kannst.
Of man, whatever we are, right? Yeah.
Das ist Markus Rühl und Carsten Stahl zum Quadrat hier.
We are not deer. Whatever we are, mankind is not a deer. There's no contradiction.
It is and is not okay to shoot a being for a burger who cannot create a code of conduct and that it's legal to do so. That's your current position.
If the code of conduct is made for them.
Is that another trait that you're okay? Let's add that to the trait set that has no code of conduct created for them.
If deers had a code of conduct that they could share with us, right? Yeah, then they wouldn't need you sticking up for them, would they? They'd already have their own laws, right? Yeah, they wouldn't need some pathetic dude on a device that abused loads of animals and children.
Yeah, well, sure, yeah, that's why I'm an animal rights activist, because I'm trying to attain them legal rights. Right, okay, we're just going to slightly amend then the trait stack, so based on what you know. Okay, so you're flying over the Amazon, and this kid below you has no.
But there's no contradiction.
Well, we're going to find out if there is.
I already know there isn't.
They have no code of conduct created for them, and it is not a.
Der sagt schon, bevor der ihm die Frage stellt, sagt er schon, da ist kein Widerspruch.
Against the law for you to shoot them in the head with a sniper rifle. Now, is it okay for you? Is it okay under your worldview now to do that?
As far as I'm concerned, if under my worldview right now, if it's not prohibited by law, then it's perfectly legal and lawful. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know it would be legal and lawful. I'm asking you if it'd be okay. There's laws that we don't agree with, and there's like legality doesn't.
You've answered your own question. You've said it's okay, but your question incorporates its own answer.
Look, so I don't give a shit about the law. That's not my trait. It is legal to massacre animals. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, but you're using the English language right now.
Also macht er aus der Appeal to Law ein Reductio. Also es ist das okay, was per Gesetz okay ist. Okay, auch das haben wir jetzt verstanden. Dass dann, ja, die wievielte Geisteskrankheit, die er hier gesagt hat. Ja. Den Punkt vorher, das Reductio vorher, in das er gebissen hat, war, wenn es Kinderschänderei erlaubt ist per Gesetz, dann ist Englisch zu sprechen Kinderschänderei. Also wenn es in England erlaubt ist.
Now, so
Ja.
like you've contradicted yourself. You're using
Und er sagt die ganze Zeit, you contradicted yourself, obwohl der die ganze Zeit noch Fragen stellt. Man contradicted sich selbst, wenn man eine Frage stellt. Du kannst die Proposition Negation ausführen.
legal language called English.
Und dass der Georg nicht drauf presst. Also wenn mir jemand sagte, du widersprichst, ja, holy shit, dann kannst du mal Gift drauf nehmen, dass ich ihn damit nie im Leben davon kommen lasse.
English legal presumptive fiction.
I'm using it as a form of communication.
Yes, and it comes with rules and conditions.
Okay, and I don't agree with many things that happen in Arab societies, but if I had to learn Arabic to speak with an Arab about animal exploitation, I would do that.
That's not my issue, is it? It's none of my.
You're an English speaker,
right?
So I'm speaking to you in a language that you understand.
And
so
under
now
the
I
English,
need...
and under the English tongue and law, right? Yeah. But the people who grant permits to the slaughterhouses and farms, right? Yeah, it's got nothing to do with me. My hands are clean. But if they want to kill an animal, right? Yeah, and it's for sale somewhere, and it's just going to go to rot and waste if it's not eaten, then I'll eat it. Why would that? Why?
Also morgen gibt es um 19 Uhr, wahrscheinlich um 19 Uhr, den ganz normalen Stream.
Should that animal die in vain? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If for as long as voters are killing these animals, I will eat them. And when all that ceases, I don't mind hunting my own animal to kill it and eat it if needs be.
I think we're going away now from the actual seeing if you have a consistent position. But if that's another trait you're naming, but like it's a society.
Again, I didn't come here to represent any sort of consistent positions or anything like that. I came here to debate a vegan to see if they can challenge any of my points. Does your wife vote? Do your parents vote? Does anyone you know vote?
I've come here to see if you have a consistent position on animal rights, and as far as I'm concerned, you don't.
Of course I don't. Animals have the rights that mankind.
Ja, genau. Ein Reductio von dieser Position, dass die Taten sich mit der Sprache verbinden, wäre, dass sobald zum Beispiel in der deutschen Sprache oder in Deutschland jetzt Kinderschänderei erlaubt ist, dann müsste man die Sprache ändern. Dann müsstest du eine neue Sprache lernen.
Can't give to them and grant.
Ja, das ist unglaublich, was wir hier sehen. Aber ja, eine Sache muss man dem lassen. Der bringt ja wirklich Punkte an, die ich noch nie gehört habe. Und das ist krass. Ich dachte schon, ich habe alles gehört, aber das hier ist mal was ganz Neues.
To them, because if they were able to assert them themselves, this wouldn't be a conversation, would it?
Yeah,
So
no.
The only rights animals have are the ones mankind grants to them, and I haven't given any animal any rights whatsoever.
Yeah, and we're trying to see if that's societally a flawed position or not. My current take is that we live in a fucked up system that inconsistently grants rights to humans but not to animals. So my job as an animal rights activist is to try and change that. I'm trying here to persuade you that you either have an inconsistent position or, okay.
No,
so
because
you believe you have a consistent position in between killing children and animals?
Yes, because there's a distinct difference between rights and freedoms. You have the freedom to murder and kill whoever you want right now. Okay. Your own wife, for example, right? Yeah, that doesn't mean you have the right to, but you are capable of. Everyone's capable of doing anything. You have the freedom to do it.
We're trying to see if it's morally acceptable.
Let's just say you came home and you found your wife molesting your 2-year-old son. Do you have a right to kill her? Do you have the freedom to kill her in protecting and defending that child?
Okay, yes, I'm not going to entertain gish gallops anymore.
All right,
we're going to.
But what I'm saying is, in the law of mankind, there are situations where it's perfectly conceivable where mankind can kill another man in defense.
Yeah, again, I'm not here to talk about self-defense in UK law. That's not my interest here in discussing this today.
Right then, okay. So
what rights do
animals have? Do you think animals have rights? Do you think animals have rights?
We're trying to grant animals rights. Yes.
Why? I don't claim rights.
Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because there's no morally relevant trait difference between humans and animals that justifies granting right to one and not the other. Now we're going to see if you hold that position. Okay, there is. Okay, tell me what those morally relevant trait differences are, and I'll write them down.
Name one other animal that's granted rights upon another animal.
Is that a trait? Hasn't.
Yes,
granted
of course
rights?
it is. Of course
Okay,
it's a trait.
cannot grant.
Is it a
rights.
trait?
Okay, cool. All right. Cannot grant rights. That's the third one I'm adding to the trait stack. Do you have any more?
Can it grant rights? Yes. Can it grant rights to other animals? Can whatever animal you want rights for grant rights to other animals itself?
Okay. All right. So let's go with this. Okay. So we see a child. You see a child in the Amazon. They have no code of conduct created for them. It will not be against the law for you to shoot them and eat them. And this child cannot grant rights to other humans or animals. It's okay to shoot them by your logic.
It's perfect. Everyone's perfectly free to shoot them. Yes, by my logic.
You would be okay with the child being.
Here we go. Here we go. Hier hat das nochmal ganz, ganz deutlich gesagt. Ja, es ist okay, dieses Kind zu erschießen. Es ist okay, das Kind zu erschießen, hat er gerade gesagt. Yes, it is. Hören wir uns nochmal an.
Free to shoot them, yeah.
Logic.
Ja, es ist nicht nur, ja, es ist okay, ne? Und er sagt dann auch noch, es ist jedem frei, dieses Kind zu erschießen. Yes. Ja.
It's perfect. Everyone's perfectly free to shoot
Perfectly free, das Kind umzubringen.
them, yes. By my
Yes. Bei meiner Logik.
logic.
Ja, noch jemand Fragen? Ja, warum sind Veganer vegan? Ja, noch jemand Fragen?
You would be okay with the child being. You would see it morally acceptable to shoot and eat the child.
Not in my position, no.
Und jetzt sagt er, nein, ist es nicht. Here we go. Widerspruch.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Then that's not an answer to the question. I'm asking.
It is.
Well,
No. There's a difference
then you
between.
need to,
No. There's a difference between people having the freedom to do it, right? Yeah, and me being okay with it. Right, yeah, me being okay with it is secondary to people having the freedom to do it. Me being okay with it is irrelevant. It's none of my business.
Would you?
Jetzt sagt er, es geht niemandem was an, ob ich okay damit bin. Dicker, das ist das Schlimmste, was ich je gehört habe. Das ist jetzt actually die schlimmste Debatte, die ich je im Leben gehört habe. Das ist das Unerträglichste, was ich je gehört habe. Das ist Carsten Stahl und Markus Rühl. Ein einziger Witz.
Find it morally acceptable for someone to shoot the child and eat them? You can answer this consistently. Okay, never. Okay, then that's an inconsistent position.
It's not, because the child I'm talking about, right? Yeah, isn't the animal that you're talking about.
Yeah,
right.
And
they are two distinct, separate living beings.
Yeah, and you've named 3 things about animals that you say makes it okay to kill these animals, that if applied to a human would be okay to kill that human.
And you haven't.
Those 3 things were has no code of conduct created for them. It's not against the law to kill them, and cannot grant rights to other animals. Now, if there is a child in the jungle who has no code of conduct created for them, it's legal. It's not against the law to kill them, and this child cannot grant rights to other humans or animals. Would it be morally acceptable in your worldview to kill that child for a burger?
My worldview now.
Yes.
Obviously not. Because you're attempting, right? Yeah.
Also sind es nicht die Traits. Widerspruch. Du hast drei Traits genannt. Du antwortest am Anfang asymmetrisch. Er fragt, warum antwortest du asymmetrisch? Wegen dieser 3 Traits. Der zieht jetzt 3 Traits raus, fragt dich und du antwortest immer noch asymmetrisch. Also waren es nicht die 3 Traits, die für die Asymmetrie sorgen. Widerspruch. Es waren die 3 Traits und es waren nicht die 3 Traits, die den Unterschied machen, also die asymmetrische Antwort. Cool, Widerspruch.
To put my consciousness now with the English language and intelligence into a situation that doesn't correlate to my standing now. So for me to be in that situation, right, yeah, I'd have to forget everything I know now. Everything I've ever
Ja, und jetzt geht's wieder um Rambling Masterclass.
learned. And be in that situation where that circumstance applies to me in some which way, shape or mind, where I don't have the foresight and knowledge of the English language, customs and traditions that I've grew up in right now, that have been afforded to me. So, and the child you're talking about isn't a deer, right? It's not a deer.
But we're trying to see.
Right. So what
the question I asked you is
what you're asking me is something that's already going on. There are tribes in the jungle right now that kill children and eat them within their own legal framework. Am I okay with that? Am I okay with that? No, it's none of my business, right? Yeah, what they do is what they do. However, I wouldn't see that as righteous, right?
But we're trying to find out why not, because you named these traits about animals.
Because there are okay. Because let me answer you then. Because there are other things to eat. That's what.
Oh, okay. So that's already true of animals. So that's fine. There's other things to eat. You can be vegan.
Yeah, but you haven't answered. You haven't answered the discrepancy. You haven't shifted anything. The deer is still a deer, and the child is still the child.
But we're now applying those deer-like traits to the child to see if it holds up. Because that's the idea of name the trait, to see if you have a consistent position.
Yeah, but it doesn't. The conclusion doesn't amount to anything.
It amounts to the idea that maybe the traits that you're applying to deer to make it okay to kill them aren't actually good arguments to kill the deer.
Of course they are.
Oh, so then if we apply those traits to a child, it'd be okay to kill them then?
What do you mean, okay?
By your logic. You said these traits, you think these traits are actually good, are valuable traits. You think these traits hold moral weight about deer, that they have no code of conduct created them, that it's legal to kill.
Ja, sein IQ reicht einfach nicht aus, das zu begreifen. Das ist die ganze Zeit normativ und deskriptiv vermischen. Der ist komplett unfähig, das zu verstehen. Er denkt, etwas passiert, deswegen ist es richtig. Der kapiert nicht, was eine normative Aussage ist. Er versteht nicht, was sein eigenes Moral Framework bedeutet. Ja, das nennt man, ich habe ein riesen Video dazu gemacht, das nennt man Omni-Fehlschluss Nummer 1, der naturalistische Fehlschluss. Und du kannst einfach Reductios drauf laufen lassen, sowas wie, es finden statt. Findest du das okay? Es findet ja statt. Weißt du? Und schon hast du die zerklatscht, diese hirntoten Clowns.
A child. You're comparing.
I know, so now we're naming the traits. So now we're taking those traits that you've said is true about deers that makes it okay to kill them. We're applying them to a child to actually see if your moral position holds up.
Yeah, but in order for you to do so, right, yeah, you have to put this child in these certain conditions that don't exist. That are non-relevant to the conclusion. Well, even if I was to accept your argument, right? Yeah, the conclusion is deers are not children, and the circumstances that you've alluded to do not exist. And if they do, it's none of my business or standing to have an impact on it. It's going to happen whether I care about it or not, and it does happen whether I care about it or not. So your point is irrelevant.
No, it's
absolutely
not irrelevant.
Of course it is. Okay. The deer is still a deer, and the child is still a child, and the conditions that you've put into this logical framework do not exist.
Das sind doch die längsten 15 Minuten ever, oder? Ich habe ja vor 10 Minuten gesagt, es sind 15 Minuten, und irgendwie kommt es mir vor, als hätte ich es vor einer halben Stunde gesagt.
Actually,
es geht einfach nicht zu Ende, das Video.
Technically, with the 3 traits you've named, they are actually quite realistic and could exist. But let's say that let's say you named could fly or something like that. It doesn't matter.
But
the idea of
will never be a child. Listen, a deer will never be.
The idea of a hypothetical is to test consistency.
I know what the idea of a hypothetical is. I'm a metaphysician.
Well, answer it then.
You don't seem to be at grips.
Hat er gerade ehrlich gesagt, ich verstehe hypothetische Fragen, weil ich ein Metaphysician bin, hat er es gerade wirklich gesagt.
The grasp of logic.
Genauso wie er vorher gesagt hat, er hat noch nie eine Debatte verloren.
Breaking down fundamentally in errors that I'm trying to point out to you. A deer is not a child. I understand your comparison. I understand your logical trap, but the conclusion doesn't amount to anything because your ifs are conditional precedents where you're having to place this hypothetical child in order to trap me in this logical conundrum right here will not amount to anything because they do not exist in reality. The deer and the...
Es existiert nicht in Realität und er ist ein Metaphysist oder was auch immer.
Child, right, yeah, have their rights given to them already in the English tongue, as in.
Ja, das sind so Debatten wie mit Professor Dr. Peter Singer, Philosophieprofessor, der Probleme hat mit hypothetischen Szenarien, der mehrmals gesagt hat während der Debatte, aber das ist ja unrealistisch.
Okay. You may want to change an alter.
This child wouldn't.
This child wouldn't in your scenario, in your
It's your scenario.
And I'm telling you, your hypothetical conclusion, stop interrupting me, doesn't exist in the English language. Because in the
I
English
don't give a shit if it doesn't exist.
In the English language, that child is protected by laws and legalities, right? Yeah. So
there is no
Es ist unrealistisch, deswegen muss man es nicht beantworten.
laws in the jungle.
Right. So in the jungle, there's no English language. So,
no,
like,
so okay.
I can't give you the answer. The answer.
Warum sagt jemand das? Jemand sagt das, weil er weiß, wenn er antworten würde auf das Hypo, wäre er widerlegt. Deswegen sagt er, darauf braucht man nicht zu antworten, ist ja nicht realistisch.
Is beyond the English language.
Eine der 1 Million Taktiken eines jeden Omnis, um vor der Verantwortung wegzulaufen oder davor wegzulaufen, als Wischmopp vom Veganer benutzt zu werden.
To give you. You have to give me a hypothetical that can be answered in correlation with the English language in order for me to.
That can be answered, see. Ja. Ich würde halt darauf pressen, es ist nicht beantwortbar. Das heißt nichts anderes, dass ein Logikfehler vorliegt. Welcher Logikfehler liegt vor?
Remain logically consistent, right? Yeah, and adhere to it. Otherwise, I can't answer an illogical equation without seeming contradictory.
Yeah,
like you've given me a hypothetical that will not exist in reality. Therefore, I'm going to contradict myself when answering it because you don't accept that the English tongue already.
So enden Debatten sehr, sehr oft leider mit Hypos ablehnen. Das ist so der letzte Strohhalm eines jeden Omnis.
Caters for the conundrum you're mentioning. That's why you have to make the hypothetical where the English tongue is being applied to this hypothetical where it's not really being applied. You're asking me to sit on a throne and apply my consciousness to a scenario that's intellectually above it. Well, of course, that's fine. But however, the throne I'm sat on already gives the animals its rights. That you're telling me I'm on a throne that can judge this other scenario in the same way. But the throne that I'm sat on is already judging the animals that you want to have rights and has given them to a certain degree. They have rights. Like the slaughterhouses and the farms have to treat the animals to a certain degree or be held accountable by law. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might not agree with that.
We're going on another tangent here, but look, if
Komisch, dass Veganer nie Probleme haben, Hypos zu beantworten. Ja, woran liegt das? Frage ich mich immer. Krass.
It's only a tangent because you can't answer the argument. You can't defeat the argument.
You can't answer. You can't name the trait.
I can.
Let's see you name it then. After an hour and 15 minutes, he's going to name it, everyone.
I've named 3. And
okay.
The point is,
and I asked it. And so
your logical
in a form. So you acknowledge it's a formal contradiction then?
Huh?
You acknowledge you've committed a formal contradiction then? Because you named 3 traits and then you said it wouldn't be okay to shoot the child.
It's not a contradiction because the deer is not a child.
Oh my God, then you haven't understood the question. Look,
I have.
I don't think...
Dicker, formulieren doch den Widerspruch aus. Wie kann er dann noch sagen, das ist kein Widerspruch?
We're going to get anywhere with this, man. But look, I appreciate you reaching out.
Ja, dass man nirgendwo dahin kommt bei dem, das war schon nach den ersten 10 Minuten klar.
The debate, and it was fun. I think it'll be an entertaining listen for our audiences. And honestly, man, I wish you a good rest of the day, and it was a fun chat anyway, man. So
it was fun, and I'd like to say, with all the years, 20 years I've been debating online, this is yet another debate with a vegan.
Seit 20 Jahren debattierst du. Das ist das größte Armutszeugnis, was ich je im Leben gesehen habe. Seit 20 Jahren debattierst und du hast 0 Ahnung vom Debattieren. Du weißt gar nichts. Du kannst kein Prop-Logic. Du verstehst nicht, was Red Herrings sind, was Rambling ist, was Dodging ist. Du weißt nicht mal, was ein Widerspruch ist. Seit 20 Jahren bist du Debater. Tja.
I've demolished effortlessly.
Und du hast auch noch nie eine Debatte verloren. Ja, stimmt. Habe ich ganz vergessen.
This is yet another debate with a vegan that I've demolished effortlessly. You can't answer a simple
All right, mate. Well,
der hat den Veganer demolished, alles klar.
We'll let my audience.
Und Markus Rühl hat die Debatte gegen Raffaela gewonnen.
Let's decide that.
Well, no, I'm deciding it for you and myself.
No.
If you had anything to teach me, and I would have learnt it. I'm walking away from this engagement, and I don't feel satisfied. I feel like I just effortlessly demolished another vegan, right? Yeah.
I got you to it. I got you to
a killer
to-
diet. A vegan that
All right.
promotes a killer diet that can't answer his way out of any hypothetical I give you, and you're giving me hypotheticals where you're comparing deers to children.
All right. Well, thank you for logically contradicting yourself and naming 3 traits that you would not believe that it would be justified in the end to kill a being who had those traits.
You're
And
wrong.
look,
When you listen to this
well-
back, when you listen to this back, right? Yeah, you'll hear that I say it was perfectly justified, just not righteous.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, man, for coming on. And yeah, I'll keep listening to the rest of your debates and stuff.
There's a difference between justified and righteous, and I did highlight that, and you never actually counteracted it once. So yeah, you got demolished, mate. So thanks for your time, George.
Yep. Thanks for your time, mate. And catch you later, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. I wish you all the best.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Take care.
Was nimmt der Typ, dass er denkt, dass er die Debatte gewonnen hat? Das gleiche wie jeder Omni nimmt. Markus Rühl und unter einem Markus Rühl Video zu der Debatte siehst du 10.000 Kommentare, die sagen, Markus Rühl hat die Debatte gewonnen. So, ja. Die Menschen interessiert nicht, wer recht hat. Die Menschen sind nicht fähig zu sehen, wer recht hat. Die verstehen nicht, dass man Argumente überprüfen kann. Mit Schlussfolgerungslehre, mit Prop Logic, aber da kann man nichts machen, weißt du? Und der denkt, er hat die Debatte gewonnen. Der denkt, er hat den Veganer demolished. So, machst du nix. Ja, das war der schlimmste Unfall, den ich je gesehen habe. Das war die schlimmste Debatte ever. Okay, I've never lost a debate with a vegan. 1 hour later, lose debate with a vegan, ja. It's been a while since I've seen anyone dodging a question so much. He was conflating legality, etymology and morality. Ja, der hat alles durcheinander gebracht. Ganz genau, was ich die ganze Zeit gesagt habe. Vor allem hat er ein Conflating normative und deskriptive Aussagen. Ich glaube, das war sein größtes Problem überhaupt. Aber niemals vergessen, seit 20 Jahren ist er Debater. Und weiß nicht, was normativ und deskriptiv bedeutet. Everything that's coming out of this dude's mouth is complete gibberish. Ja, das ist korrekt. Die radikale Veganerin hat das kommentiert. This dude is like a pigeon playing chess. Knocks over the pieces, poops the board and struts around, ja. Das war ein Sonderunfall, Alter. Ich bin einfach nur erschöpft. Aber ja, der ist zigmal in den Widerspruch reingelaufen, bis er am Ende 3 gestackt hat und auch bei den 3, als sie entfernt wurden, hat er immer noch asymmetrisch geantwortet, also Widerspruch. Gut, ja, ich muss raus, Leute, ich brauche Therapie, ich bin völlig im Arsch.